Welcome back to the channel. My name is Rich Latta, and today we're going to be talking about what inspired I Miss Rocafella. So as you can see, I'm in a comfortable position right here. Just wanted to be as relaxed as possible as I talk about the next entry here in Family Music Life, Deconstructed. We are almost home with, all the tracks being completed. If you have not heard the album, please check the links in the description below, including how you can own the album forever. And if you want to check it out on Spotify, that's cool. But if you want to support me the most, make sure that you check that link right there. So when I was growing up, I moved around the country a lot. At one point, I was living in Huntington Beach, California. During that time, I was really being exposed to a lot of West Coast rap. This is around the time of like the Chronic 2001, where Eminem was with Dr. Dre. I was listening to Snoop, Warren G, DJ Quick, Shay Shice, the East Siders, Corrupt, Exhibit, names go on from there. But I moved back home to Springfield, Mass in January of 2001. And when I got there, I was welcomed back by my friends who, of course, listened to none of that stuff. It wasn't like they thought it was whack or anything. They just, didn't listen to it. And I was like in disbelief. I was like, what do you mean you haven't been listening to the East Siders for like, 2 years at that point? And like for me, it was like a shock. I'm like, people like listen to different stuff in different places, because I guess I just never really noticed it because I hadn't fallen in love with hip hop the way I would once I moved to California. I just thought everyone was listening to Biggie before that, like just because that's what we did. But maybe it was deeper than I thought. This is regionalism at its height and the peak of like the pre-internet age era of rap. When I was driving across the country, I would hear all this different stuff like Cash Money, like Nelly, and along with all the West Coast people I knew. And I knew Jay-Z, like I heard Bink Pimpin' and, a couple of different singles that he had, but I hadn't really studied and deep dived his catalog like I would in the future. And as I mentioned, I was welcomed back by my friends who were listening to all this while I was falling in love with West Coast rap. They were falling in love with like Rocafella. It was a whole lot of Jay-Z, Beanie Sigel, Freeway, Bleak, Dipset, Whole State Property. Everybody liked Young Chris. People tried to say, Jay-Z may have borrowed the style a little bit. I never really, I don't know. I think that was a funny one. I think people were trying to chip at Hov a little bit, but Chris was dope. And, much later on, like Kanye. And I kind of consider like Kanye the end of the rock, kind of. So me being, that age, I want to be in those conversations. I want to see the greatness that my friends are talking about, that they're in love with. So I became obsessed with Rocafella Records. Every single mixtape I could find, radio freestyles, all the albums from everybody, listening to them front to back, especially Jay-Z's. And, by this time I had caught the bug of wanting to do my own music as well and write my own raps. And it was my goal to be nice enough to be on Rocafella Records initially. Like I wanted the chain. I wanted to be brought out in my hometown, anointed by Jay-Z while the audience screamed, and I did a freestyle or something like that. That was just everything I wanted. I was watching their movie State Property enough times, like treating it like my own personal Scarface, using all the lines with my friends and my stepbrothers, and we had a good time doing that. I would say my 5 favorite Rocafella Records artists. Number 5 would be Cameron. Absolutely hilarious, very smart lyricist, and underneath all the flash was a very prideful MC that I think came out when he was in that thing with Jadakiss at Madison Square Garden. Beanie Sigel, he was just a tough dude to be on a song with. He was just known for having the best verse, just had a great voice, and he had just a distinct, unique style where it seemed like you were talking to this guy right next to you when he was rapping to you. Number 3, Freeway. I love Freeway. I think he dropped one of the best rap albums of all time in Philadelphia Freeway. He had great chemistry with all the producers, and he was just had this very unique voice that made you get sucked in as a listener, and I think he is so underrated. Number 2, this is a tie. This is going to be the production between Kanye West and Just Blaze. All the beats that they made around that time, they were just the perfect embodiments of how we wanted to feel back then. A big part of Rocafella was the beats, the soul samples, the digging in the crates. It was like the next era after the guys in the 90s. It was like, how are they gonna, expand upon that? And they just found more obscure stuff. And I don't want to forget about Bink either, but it was, primarily Kanye and Just that I loved. And then, Kanye is an artist in that number 2 spot early on, around college dropout time. But number 1, Hove, Jay, the Jigga Man, all that stuff, going back to Reasonable Doubt and In My Lifetime, Volume 1, Volume 2, and really like around this time, like the Blueprint was like really taking over and was coming off the Dynasty album and everything like that. But it was, to me, just the best run in rap from every year. Great albums, just untouchable, selling the albums, not going like super multi-platinum, like 10 times platinum and stuff like that, but it was more just like, yo, these are the essential albums of hip-hop at the time. This is the best way to do it. And I'll never forget the influence that Jay-Z had on me around the time of Blueprint 2. I know a lot of people talk about Blueprint 2 and they're like, oh, it's too many songs. But me, as a burgeoning MC, I needed that. I needed to hear all those different styles and different types of songs and different ways to approach beats, and just more Jay-Z. As much Jay-Z I could find, I didn't care. I never went for that, oh, we hate the Blueprint 2 stuff. No, I was into the Blueprint 2. I loved it. So I made this song as an ode to the samples and the East Coast style and the reign and dominance of Rocafella Records. To me, the rock was aspirational, and for my time, it was the music collective that gave me a blueprint, no pun intended, to step into. Originally, I wrote the original lyrics to this song over 10 years ago at this point, now that I think about it. And the version that you hear on the album isn't like the original one that I wrote, but on the album, like, there's a hook that comes in and all that, but it was just like I don't know, it was a very unorganized song, but I cleaned it up to be in song format and just really kind of laid it out there how great I thought Rocafella Records was. And this is just like, something I like to do, like as far as, paying homage to those that came before me. I don't necessarily have to use their lyrics to do it, but I can talk about how they made me feel. So I appreciate you checking this out. Make sure you check out the rest of the videos in this series, Family Music Life Deconstructed. We'll be back with a sample synopsis video for this, where we will go over it. I believe I sampled the Ebony's Just For You, or Just Because of You, and that was just like the perfect sound bed for this. So we'll get into it more, but I'll holla at y'all. Peace.